Mr. President, I've been trying to understand what is holding up the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security is the agency we created after 9/11 that merged 22 different agencies of our government to make sure that 9/11 never happened again. We created this new department, and we said to them, keep America safe. Use our tax resources and your best efforts to keep America safe. And thank goodness we've not had a repeat of that terrible tragedy of 9/11 since, under either Republican or Democratic presidents. Then when we started debating about funding the agencies of government in December with an omnibus budget bill, the House Republicans said we will fund the entire government of the United States, but we will not give regular budget appropriations to the Department of Homeland Security. They singled out the one department responsible for our safety and security and said we will give them temporary funding. In fact, the next round of funding ends, or this round ends February 27th in 15 days. And so we're in a almost impossible to explain situation where the agency with the premier responsibility of keeping America safe is not being adequately funded to do its job. Now, we know we live in a dangerous time in the world's history. Evidence continues to be shown of the ruthless, barbaric tactics of extremist groups like ISIS. Kayla Mueller, this magnificent young woman, I believe 26, 27 years old, taken captive by ISIS, was killed by them as they murdered the Jordanian pilot by burning him alive and beheaded the Japanese journalist. So we know they are ruthless and barbaric. And we know that they are extending their reach. Well, we're doing what we must do with the Department of Defense when it comes to stopping them. But we're not doing enough when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security because we're not funding this agency as it should be funded. It has been singled out by the House Republicans as the only agency that doesn't receive regular appropriations. And when we sit down with Secretary Johnson and ask him, well, what impact does it have on you, on managing your department when it comes to temporary funding as opposed to a regular budget? He said, I can't make grants to fire departments in Illinois or Nevada or Arizona. And when the fire departments come to me and say, our firefighters need better training, can you give us a federal grant for that purpose? Or they need equipment to keep themselves safe. He said, I can't give the grants because I'm under a continuing resolution. And if you look at the budget for this Department of Homeland Security, and honestly, there's no real disagreement on how much they should receive. When you look at this budget of $47.8 billion, it raises some obvious questions. Let me just mention, for the record, some of the things that the money's used for. There's $8.5 billion, roughly, for the Coast Guard. We know the Coast Guard's responsibility, focusing on preventing terrorist attack, addressing evolving threats to our maritime and transportation systems, as well as the global supply chain, preventing the unauthorized acquisition, importation, or use of chemical, biological, radiological, and explosive materials. That's what the Coast Guard is supposed to do. I said 8.5, it looks like it's $10 billion total that is supposed to go to the Coast Guard, but is being held up by this continuing resolution. And you have to ask yourself, what is stopping us from funding the Coast Guard properly so they can protect us? How about the Customs and Border Protection? $12.5 billion for the Customs and Border Protection to secure U.S. air, land, and sea borders, safeguard and streamline lawful trade and travel, and disrupt and dismantle transnational criminal and terrorist organization. The list goes on and on. What is it that is holding up this appropriation? It took some research, but I found what's holding it up. It's this young woman right here.